Good morning. Welcome to Village in Motion. Today is Thursday, January 18th, 2018, and this morning we welcome Ron Taylor from our finance office, our Director of Finance.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Good morning. Thank you for coming in out of the cold.
And it is just that, isn't it?
It is, but I understand it's going to get warmer.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. We deserve it.
Yeah.
Tell me what we're here to talk about this morning.
You know, one of the things that the finance team is constantly trying to do is create education for our residents, our staff, as well as our residents' family members, because they are a big part of our overall process. And so many of our residents are aware that we have the Finance Educational Series forums that exist. We have a forum that is on our move out process when an individual either transitions out of the community for whatever reason, moving, or when they pass. We also have a forum for transitioning to Garden Ridge. Both of those forums have been going on for the last year.
I have been to both of those forums, and I must compliment your team on those. They are wonderful. It
is a great collaboration between finance, our social work team, dining services, general services. So we really all come together to try to say, how do we make sure that these processes are easy for our residents to understand? Many of them are outlined in the resident care agreement, but those were signed how many years ago? So our residents don't always have a good handle on what their obligations are, as well as what our requirements as a service provider are to them. So that's really why we came up with those forums, and they've really been great. I looked at some statistics for last year, and over 900 individuals attended the two forums that we did last year.
And those forums are open to residents and their family members and their legal representatives.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I know I told you before we started, I took a copy of the educational documents from those forums to my lawyer, who probably I would have had to pay her to come to the forum, but she was thrilled to have them.
Awesome.
Because when we die, she is our legal representative, and that gives her a lot of information.
Right. It is very informative, so we always ask our residents not only come to participate, but bring the individuals that you trust to be your voice, your eyes and your ears on your behalf at some point in time during your residency.
And there's nothing to say that if you came once and you thought, oh, I wish my children or whomever is my legal representative had been with me, that you couldn't come again.
Please come again. I look at it from a standpoint, you will always hear something different.
Oh, yes.
Even if it's the exact same information, what you retain of hearing it the first time in comparison to the second time, there's always a new tidbit that I think our residents are going to get.
It's a lot of information in a short period of time.
It is.
Yes.
So those are the two forms that we used last year, and those will continue. But we're also adding a third form for the 2018 year, and that is a resident care agreement form. And that is really designed to talk about the financial requirements of the resident while they are living here on campus, as well as what our requirements are as a service provider to them. And so it's one of the things that we've never done before, and we're going to be looking at the RCA, or the Resident Care Agreement, in its entirety.
Now, the Residence and Care Agreement, and I have my little Greenspring notebook here that I went through that big file of stuff that we all have from when we moved in and pulled mine out. The Residence and Care Agreement may not be the same for every person.
That is very true.
We came in, this is dated January 2014, but my friend Charlotte, who came in, I think, 1997 when Greenspring first opened, the verbiage in hers may be slightly different.
That is very true. So we do ask individuals recognize that some individuals are on a contract that says your reoccupancy responsibility is at 100%, meaning you're going to get 100% of your refund back less the actual cost of our reoccupancy charges. Other individuals are on a 90% contract, meaning that they will get 90% of their refund back, and that 10% is actually going to cover our cost to refurb or refurbish that unit, regardless of the actual cost. And so there are very different agreements that exist depending on the time that a resident would have moved
And
in.
there may be other details within this that may be different.
That is very true.
This is probably the kind of thing that could be very dangerous, to be sitting around the dining hall of the dining room and say, well, the residence and care agreement says such and such, and some people can be very definitive in how they speak and get into some arguments about things, and we really need to understand that each of ours may be different.
That is very true. And so, one, we always ask residents to understand what's there. This is a contract between the resident and Greenspring. So our residents, as well as their family members, should understand what's there. And that's what this new forum is going to be all about.
And it would be good to read this before going to the forum.
It does. And it will definitely create questions, but it also will create situations where individuals can have the right expectations of what their requirements are, as well as what we're going to do for them.
When is the first forum?
The first forum for the resident care agreement is on March the 8th. It is going to be in Hunters Crossing, if I'm not mistaken. It's at 1 o'clock. And we're excited because, as I mentioned, it's a brand new forum. We have individuals from social work that will be participating. It is a combined effort between the finance team and David Taylor, our sales director. We're really collaborating to make sure that David on the front end, finance on the back end, how do we make sure the residents are hearing the right message and the same message from both sides of the organization. So we're really excited about that.
And so there's one on March 8th and another in August.
Yes, the one on March 8th, we just announced the resident care agreement form about, I think it was last week. We have over 100 individuals that have signed up for that already. So we are going to be adding a third date, but we do ask individuals to stop by the finance office, sign up to attend, because we do ask for an RSVP, so we really know how many individuals will be attending, and there will be a light fare or snack there for individuals.
Oh, that's the best part of these
without
forums.
a doubt. That's how we attract individuals to be there.
It's real good food.
But we definitely ask individuals to come in to register for the forum, but we find it's so impactful and so beneficial for them.
If I were a resident and looking through my paperwork and couldn't find a copy of my residence and care agreement, could I go to the finance office and get a copy of it from your files?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
So the finance office actually is the place where your official file resides for the campus. So we will have a copy of all of your legal documents. You have a right to come in and review them, get copies of them, modify them, some, I should say, at any point in time. So the resident care agreement is not a modifiable document. It is a contract that's signed between the resident and Greenspring. But there are other documents that are also included in that file. One is the refund distribution form. That is a document that you can modify if your decision on how your refund is distributed or refunded at the point of your exit or your passing from the community. So you can always get a copy as well as change that. Additionally, we always will house a copy of your trust, as well as a copy of your power of attorney documents. And those are documents that you provide to us. And if there are any updates, definitely we want to make sure we have a copy of that.
So this would be a good time if you're going to the office anyway to maybe review those documents, say, oh my gosh, that's old, this needs to be updated, to get those files updated so the most updated copies are there in the finance office.
Exactly.
Really important that
Yes.
they be current.
Right. And we tell individuals, it's great if you call and make an appointment, but in no way, shape, or form is that required. If you come in and there's someone in front of you, no more than a 5-minute wait, and we'll be able to make sure that we can pull your file, walk you through what's there. And we also have a checklist that lists in the finance office that says, here's information that you should have in your file, and we can kind of go through that with you to make sure that we have it, or you can walk away and say, I know I need to get a copy of X,
Right.
and bring it back to the finance team.
And as far as all of these documents, it's a good idea if you provide those documents to your children or whomever is taking care of you. If something happens to you, it's easier for them to pull out their copy in their own home than for them to come to your apartment
And try to
try
find
to
it.
find where you've put it. I have put mine in a notebook that is clearly labeled Greenspring, but whether someone will know where to look for that folder that's clearly labeled Greenspring is a whole different ballgame.
Completely agree. But that's actually a great idea to have them all in one location so that so someone can find them on your behalf, or you can find them if you need to kind of have a conversation with us. So that's actually a great idea.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I thought, well, boy, aren't I smart to do this? But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking it would probably be a good idea to provide a copy of this to my lawyer so that she has it.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Because when those steps need to be made, they need to be able to find them quickly.
Sure. So one other thing I want to share in reference
Yes.
to our forums, we have takeaways from each of the forums that we have. We have frequently asked questions, documents that individuals will walk away from. And those documents really will help them be able to understand what are the things I need to know. And so, yeah, these are things that we have for each participant at the forums. If individuals want a copy, we have soft copies for individuals outside of those forums that we can provide. But they're great documents so individuals really can
So
understand.
soft copies are available also?
Yes.
So if you would want to send a copy to a child or a niece or a nephew or someone who's not able to attend, you could provide those?
Yes, we can.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't
Yes.
realize that.
So great documents to really help understand what are some of those questions that are typically asked, but I was afraid to ask at the forum or I didn't think about it. It's right here for you.
Yeah, they are very well written. A lot of
Agreed.
information there.
Agreed.
And covers some information that's not necessarily brought up in the forum.
True. Now, for the most part, we try to make sure we cover the hot points.
Right.
We know we can't answer every single thing there, and this really helps kind of close
This
the gap.
gets down in the weeds.
Agreed.
A little more of the details.
Agreed.
Yeah.
One other document that we also provide when an individual is actually leaving the community, we have what's called a move-out handbook. And again, we don't really just give this out for the sake of individuals having it, because we do fill this out with some personal information relating to your entrance deposit, your move-in date, some of your assets. So this is something that we provide only when you are going through that process.
Yes.
But it's just another form of how we make sure that our residents are educated on the processes that exist.
Kind of helps you to know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
right.
So
Ron, we have a minute left. Any final words?
the only thing I would like to say, and I think we've propped up on the screen already, but we have a list of all of the forums that we have throughout the year. And I want to make sure that all of our residents are aware of what those are, so we might be able to get that back on screen. But if not, you can always stop by the finance office, see what
You're
those are.
open what hours?
We're open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay.
Monday through Friday, and there's always someone there, with a few meetings that we might close, but for the most part, there's always someone there. And we always want to make sure that we're here to ensure the residents get what they need.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you for your fine educational offerings. It's really been terrific and well attended and much appreciated.
thank you very much.
Always good to see you. Thanks
Same.
for joining us.
Surely.